It has long been suspected that sharks achieve incredible feats of navigation using the Earth's magnetic field, and a new study has given us the best glimpse yet at how they do it. Researchers from Florida State University captured 20 wild bonnethead sharks from local waters for the study. The team used tanks framed with copper wiring that imitates the Earth's magnetic field in specific locations. Individual sharks swam in the direction of home, depending on the magnetic location being emitted. However, exactly how sharks detect the magnetic field does remain a mystery. Fascinating stuff. Let's bring in one of the authors, Brian Keller from Florida State University. Hi there. I mean, it is something that we just assume that the sharks have some sort of sense of where they're going, but this has actually proved it. Tell us why you started this study.
Thanks, Lorna. I'm happy to be here. So this research really started, like you said, sharks are known to have incredibly long distance and precise migrations, but it was really unknown how they achieved that navigational success. Given that the magnetic field produced by the Earth is one of the only constant and ubiquitous cues available to them, we wanted to determine if they were perhaps using it as a navigational aid.
Right, so you captured these relatively small sharks, and we can see one of them swimming around in a tank. What sort of conditions did you impose on them, and how different was it depending on where they were, I guess, essentially located in the first place?
Great question. So we wanted to be sure that our experiment wasn't flawed, so we had a control treatment that mimicked the locations that they were caught. And in this video, you can see the copper wire that surrounds that tank. And by providing power to those wires, we changed the magnetic field to represent a location about 600 kilometers south of where the sharks spent their summers.
Right, OK. And what about the long distances they travel? Is it able to explain why that happens and how it happens?
Yeah, that was pretty much the motivation behind this study. So a great example is the great white shark, which you see here. They've been detected from Bonfil et al. 2005 to migrate between South Africa and Australia and to go back to South Africa. So they're swimming 20,000 kilometers in less than a year. And really, the magnetic field is the only cue that could help them do this. So this research provides insight and clarity to how these sharks are able to navigate successfully between locations.
And does it also explain why sharks from perhaps the same species are genetically distinct, because there's no crossover, because they roam different parts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's many species of sharks that are highly mobile, and like we just mentioned with the great white, they can swim really far distances, and they often do. But in those situations, we still see structure between the populations. So in the Atlantic Ocean, there might be two different populations of the same species. And our research showed that the magnetic fields might be useful for females to locate areas where they like to pup or spend time. And if they're selecting habitats based upon the magnetic field, then we might see that structure between the populations due to the magnetic field.
And Brian, would they be using other cues as well, like landmarks or how warm or cold the water is?
It's a great question. It's something that certainly needs more research. One thing we know for certain, there's been work from Jane Gardner and Andy Nozel that shows when the sharks are really close to a target location, they're more likely to use olfaction or the sense of smell than other cues. So it's certainly not just magnetic-based navigation. Animals use a suite of senses to help them achieve tasks, but our research was exciting in that it showed that magnetic-based navigation plays a role in their spatial ecology.
It's a fascinating study and will have implications around the world, I'm sure. Brian Keller from Florida State University, live for us in the United States this lunchtime. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks, Lorna.